feel a little bit weird with this one, but we'll go into it anyway. Can women do aquaponics? That just doesn't even sound right, that phrase, but let's have a little chat about that. Can women build, create, maintain, look after aquaponics? I'm a woman, I'm doing it, but let's get into and have a little bit of a chat about this, because sometimes women think they can't and sometimes men think that they shouldn't. But let's really get into that. Can women do aquaponics? Because I want to set this aside and get you encouraged to do this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'm putting videos up every couple of days, so make sure that you hit subscribe so you can get all of them. Can women do aquaponics? Well, I'm a woman. I do aquaponics. It's an interesting thing. It's more about your belief system than anything else. We see that most of the channels, they're men. DIY men teaching other DIY men how to do DIY stuff, including aquaponics. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of women doing aquaponics, which is awesome. But a lot of people are asking me on social media, you know, can women do this? And it really got me thinking about a lot of things. Yes, this is one. Sorry to interrupt. Look, to really boost your aquaponics learning, jump on over to my website for some free online training, and it's really structured and it's going to help you get a really good grasp of how this works, rather than trying to pick it bits and pieces everywhere. Let's get the foundations happening, okay? So some free online training at www.theaquaponicslady.com. Jump on over and get your free training. My deep meaningful moments. The biggest thing was, why am I doing aquaponics and not something else? And I guess it comes down to how I was raised. So I was raised with in a single parent family. My parents divorced when I was 18 months, and I didn't know my father. So, and Mum never connected with anybody again. So, Mum and 3 kids. She was determined to give us the best life she could, and may she rest in peace, she did the best she could. And I have 2 older brothers, and you know what? They do not know how to use a screwdriver. They do not know how to garden. They do not know how to cook. They do not know how to do any of that sort of stuff. Whereas when Mum bought herself, you know, she built a business, bought herself a house, all as a single woman with 3 kids, so a single mum. And she was determined to teach us all how to be independent. And when you're young, it seems that when we're young, we're already in that learning space. Everything about life is what we're learning. So learning to do something else is just one of those extra things now, isn't it? I learnt to build a patio, to put gravel down, to pave, to do decking, to build an alfresco area, to do all these different things. Now, none of this was connected to the house, mind you. To do fencing, to, you know, put fence posts in and to do full fencing, because we got the house and it was back in the days before it was turnkey, before you had all those options and you had to do all the landscaping yourself. So my 2 older brothers decided that, well, they didn't really want to know about that. And they also had that attitude, because they were still connected to my father, and they had the attitude that a woman's job is to do the chores, to do the cooking, and to do all the work, while they sat around and, you know, drank bourbon, watched TV, and didn't really do much. So my weekends and that were very much spent doing all of the chores that were left for all of us by Mum while she was working on the weekends as well. What did that teach me though? That taught me independence. So it might not be how she wanted me to learn independence, but I still learned independence. As an adult, I look back on that and sometimes you go, seriously, I had to do all of that work? Did you not realise that I was the one doing it? Did you not realise that my brothers couldn't help? Irrelevant. And, you know, there's that ego side of myself that gets rather pissed off at times that I had to go through all of that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I learned how to build stuff. I learned how to use tools. Maybe not in the safest play without guidance and all of that sort of stuff. I never used the electric saw or the chainsaw without help, but everything else I kind of did. Even the hired tools that she got for us for the paving and things like that. But here's the thing. As a child, I learned how to do all of that. I learned how to use the screwdrivers and the drills and the knives and the saws and the hammers, and I learned. If we're learning things as a child, it makes life so much easier as an adult. But if we don't learn how to do something as an adult, or as a child, if we don't learn how to do it as a child, we can still learn how to do something as an adult. Back, oh my gosh, back 2008 I think it was. We'll go with 2008. I was the only woman, I'm the only female in the entire course of aquaculture where I studied it. And I continued studying aquaculture after that, and again I was still the only woman there. And all of the men laughed at me, and they said I couldn't do it. Wouldn't be able to build an aquaponics system, but it was aquaculture. Wouldn't be able to build an aquaculture system, wouldn't be able to grow the fish. And I just looked at them and gave them these little smiles and say, yep, sure, you know, you're a big man, you know what you're talking about. Just gave them that smile, made them feel better about themselves, and I didn't pay any attention to it. I'm the one who got the scholarship, I'm the one who got to go to the conferences, I'm the one who won the awards, because I'm the one who did the work. I was the woman, the only female in the class. The only one who actually learnt how to do stuff rather than sitting there being laughing at someone else. I just got on with it and did it. So I kicked their butts basically. And I learnt aquaculture. I've had fish all my life. So fish keeping is a fair bit different to aquaculture and aquaponics. People think that, you know, if you can do one, you can just jump in straight off and do the second. Well, you kind of can, but you kind of can't. You do need to know a little bit extra information for aquaponics. But I decided that even though I'd had fish tanks all my life, I wanted to know how to look after a lot of fish. And I'm the one who was in those mucky ponds with all the fish, cleaning stuff out and getting laughed at again by the blokes because, you know, clothing was sticking to me and everything like that, and they refused to get wet and dirty until I threw them in. I'm a bit of a physical kind of girl though. That's me. That doesn't mean that you have to do all of that sort of stuff. This little barrel aquaponics system that's right here took a couple of hours to build. That took a couple of hours with me recording it, with me showing someone else how to do it at the same time, and breaking everything down step by step. And I realised that I've had, you know, more than 15 years doing this and being able to build aquaponic systems and being able to sit there and think about, okay, I need to adjust this and change that, and that piping's not going to work for this system, or this location's different, I'm going to have to think about the storms and the flooding, and sure, I know that extra information that most people don't know or don't even need to know, because you're not going to be, unless you're going to be building for other people and doing that, then you think you kind of need to know it. But just to build a small little aquaponic system like this, you can do it really, really easily with a couple of power tools that are, look, a hairdryer is dangerous, isn't it? Those electric carving knives can be dangerous, but you still learn how to use them. A toaster can be dangerous. At what age did you learn do not put a knife or a fork in the toaster? You had to learn not to do that. You had to learn how to use the kettle. You had to learn how to do all of those things in the kitchen. You had to learn how to drive a car, how to ride a bicycle, how to ride a skateboard. I did skateboard while people did roller skates, rollerblades. These are all learned things. There's nothing wrong with learning as an adult. The only thing is it's a bit harder because we already have our mindset that we can't do something, or that it's going to be hard or dangerous or difficult. What if it's not though? What if it's just your fear that's telling you that something is hard when it's actually really, really easy to do? What if, instead of going, oh, I need a man to do that, or my hubby will do that when he gets around to it. How long does it take for them to get around to doing stuff? Just asking. How often do you go, I'm just going to damn well do it? This little barrel system, and a lot of people will look at some of the bigger systems and go, yeah, but I want food security handy and I want to be able to grow all my own food in aquaponics, and just saying I also have soil gardens around the place, or wicking beds around the place. I'm not just an aquaponics girl, but I am the aquaponics lady. You want to go big, sure, but get your confidence up. What would you tell your kids or a younger person? Learn how to do something first. Learn how to walk. Learn how to crawl before you can walk. Learn how to walk before you try to run and jump. We have to learn the basic steps by building a small little aquaponics system. As I said, look, this took me a couple of hours and it might take you a whole day. Is there a time limit on it? Seriously? Does that matter? You want to measure it, you want to go slow, and you want to get it right. And if you don't know how to use the tools, you might want someone with you. You might want to be going through looking at it. And I do have videos up showing how to use tools. That's the other thing. You're not alone with that. And then you build it. Once it's built, you've got to go through and you've got to learn a little bit about water quality and a little bit about fish husbandry. But these are goldfish down in here, little fish tank down here. And they are powering lots and lots of food up here anyway. So it might not be food security for you yet, but it's a way of getting started. It's a way of dipping your toe in and going, yep, I can do this. I've built this. I am proud of this. I am confident that I can take this to the next level. And once you've got it going and you've got it actually growing some good food, that's the best way to start. I truly wish that in 2006, when I first started aquaponics, I wish that I had have done this. I wish that this concept had been around back then. Because when I first was introduced to aquaponics, it was much larger. Everything had to be a lot larger. The systems didn't work very well because they didn't remove solid waste, and there's been arguments over that over the years. And, that's basically what happened. But I truly wish that there had been something small, or that it had been encouraged. It was a DIY bloke in Australia, a DIY bloke showing other people, hey, look at what you can do, which was awesome because it introduced aquaponics here. But it didn't break it down to small steps that were easy to understand, and it took a lot of time for it to be broken down for people. Now I have YouTube videos up showing you how I built this little barrel aquaponics system that powers all of my herbs and some of my spinach. Well, that's awesome. How much are herbs at the supermarket these days? Bloody expensive. Learn how to do this. The kids have got their pet fish down the bottom. Learn how to do this, and then get your confidence up so that you can take it to the next step. Women can do aquaponics. Women can do anything. And I just want to be really clear, I don't hate men. For those people who think I hate men, I actually don't hate men. But I do believe that women can do anything that they want to do. I do believe that we need to learn how to do things, and it's often encouraged. Boys are often encouraged to build things, to create things, to do things. I mean, I'm from the generation where the boys had the shed out in the backyard, and all of the tools were out there, and they did everything out in their shed. You get up in the morning, you go out and back to your shed. That's the era I grew up in, except my brothers didn't have the keys to the shed. I did. I grew up with a mother who, she was from the farm, like from the country, and she knew how to do all of those things, and she was determined that her kids would know how to do it all too, even though we were in the city. And all of my cousins all know how to do stuff. It's interesting that us city people say DIY, whereas country people go, yeah, that's just life. It's all in our mindset and our perception. Women can do anything. We really can. We just need to learn how to do things sometimes. We need to learn how to use a drill, how to use a jigsaw, which is an electric saw that can be moved around, and it's less scary than an electric saw, but those big electric saws, but it's still kind of scary if you've never done it. You know what? I get terrified of my hairdryer. The only time I use a hairdryer is actually when I'm putting prints on my candles, when I'm making my own candles. I have friends who use my hairdryers more than what I do. I use mine for craft stuff as opposed to how it's meant to be used, but hey, we all do things in our own different way, don't we? But that's the thing, we're all different. It's much easier to learn things as a child. It really is. You're already in that learning mode. Everything about life is learning. When we're an adult, we're kind of busy going, okay, I've become an adult, I don't need to learn anymore. At what age did you actually feel like an adult? That you got it all together, that you knew it all, that you've got the answer to the question? Most of us are still trying to figure out what the question even is. We learn at any age, all ages. We never stop. The day you stop learning is really going to be the day you die. And even that's going to be the learning experience, just saying. Women can do aquaponics, women can do anything DIY. Sometimes we might not have the strength to do something. We might need a bit of upper body strength and help. Or we can learn how to do it ourselves. We can learn how to use our body to manipulate the weight on something. Or we just plain need someone else's help. We might need a friend to come over and give us a hand with something. But we might need to drag hubby off the couch and say, right, come on, I need you to lift this up for me. But think about this. What does it show your kids when you're showing them you can learn at any age? When you're showing them you can always change, you can always evolve, you can always grow. And get the kids involved and you can actually teach them how to do something too. Whether it is aquaponics or not. I mean, sure, I'm all about aquaponics and healthy living. But I'm more about helping empower women to know that they can do absolutely anything that they believe they can. Now, I'm someone who has an anxiety disorder, and I have PTSD and autism. Those three combined can be a real bitch on a bad day. So on that bad day, I don't pick up any tools. On those bad days, I don't do nothing. And I have them. But on those good days, I can get a lot done. The beauty of an aquaponics system is once you have it running and built, it doesn't take much to maintain it. People think it takes hours and hours a day to look after. Honestly, it doesn't. The only thing I do with this aquaponics system, and this is a small little aquaponics system, is I feed the fish in the morning. And once a week I check on the water quality and I see if there are any bugs around that need to be taken care of. And I do the checks of, is there any water leaking anywhere that it shouldn't be? Stuff like that every day. As far as full-on maintenance goes, I don't have to do very much with it. It's like a very large fish tank. In fact, my fish tanks take more work because I have to do water exchanges on them inside. Whereas, because of the concept of aquaponics is that the vegetables are using all of that nitrate, which we would remove from an aquarium, I don't need to do the water exchanges, but I do need to top up water that's disappeared with evaporation or through the plant use. So I need to top up with water every week, and that's dechlorinated water, which I have bubbling in my little cauldron over there. Well, it's actually just a drum with an air stone in it. This is really simple to look after. My big system is just a simple. There's some days every now and then I need to actually do, a couple of hours worth of maintenance every month. Every week I need to spend 10-15 minutes doing something. I'm a bit quicker at things than what you will be to begin with, and you'll be nervous and anxious. But how much easier is it going to be to start off with, say, some goldfish that, well, we don't want them to die. If they die, we're not going to be heartbroken because they didn't cost us very much. Whereas my silver perch in that big tank, at the moment, going based on the kilo, they're probably worth about $30 or $40 each. And I don't eat my fish, but should I choose to eat my fish, that would be what I'd be saving if I harvested any of those fish. Aquaponics is really, really simple once you learn some basics. But here's the thing. Everybody says to start off big. Don't start off big. Learn to crawl before you learn to walk. Start off small. Even if you could, this is still quite big to start with, in my opinion. If you know absolutely nothing about aquatic health, you'd be able to manage this system here, you'd be able to manage it. But if you've got a smaller aquarium, why not start with that? And there will be YouTube videos up showing how to make aquaponic systems out of an aquarium. They're just a bit different. When you're doing an aquarium, it's more about the pretty factor and being able to grow some food off it as well. This is very much a food powerhouse. That's aquaponics is the food powerhouse kind of thing. Different ratios with things, but you can still do it. I've got a a 30 centimetre by 30 centimetre square fish tank inside that I'm growing some spinach in. I've just got the fish tank in there, got the fish in there, I've got a piece of polystyrene with a little net and the spinach sitting in the middle of it. That's as simple as you can get, and it works. Aquaponics can be as simple or as challenging as you want it to be. And this is the one thing that I'm going to say, keep it simple. A lot of people decide, hey, can we do this, can we do that? And then they complicate. And then they have trouble, and they've got to try to fix those complicated steps that they've just taken. The simpler you keep it, you know, are you out to impress someone? Are you out to get an award on how to complicate things the best? The simpler you can keep your aquaponics system, the easier it will be for you to maintain. Because ultimately our goal is food security. If we had food security, life would be so different. That's what we're aiming to do. Food security. So start small, keep it simple, watch the YouTube videos, and believe that you can do it. Sure, it might take you a bit of time, and you might need to get an extra drum to practice on in case you cut the wrong way or you do the wrong thing or something doesn't quite work. Take your time, go slow. Just like when you were learning to walk, you had to practice and you fell over a few times. I'm sure you didn't just get up and start walking. You definitely didn't just get up and go from sitting into running. You will have fallen over. I've got a nice big, that's on this one. Up here I've got a nice big, right across the eyebrow, where I ran straight into a table when I was learning how to walk. It happens. And it's the same with aquaponics. You can learn to do it. And it's easy once you learn. You don't think about walking now, do you? Do you think how one step, second step, balance, do you think about all of those things, or do you just do it? Anyone can do aquaponics. Anyone can learn how to do this.